So I wonder if we might see like a Slark or a Juggernaut removed as well. Just because it is again another bit of gap close, another way to punish the Lena as well if her positioning isn't perfect.
And at the moment, you probably would argue that RNG have the favorable team fight, even though Vici have a lot of stuns. The Tide can kind of take that instantly out of effect with hitting multiple people with the Ravage. So giving RNG an upside here in their first phase, some scaling potential with the Lena as well, which can be
RNG's
flexible. For
turn to
Vici,
ban.
easy heroes to execute,
Vici
early
Gaming's
tower push that
turn
can
to
come
ban.
through. We've seen the Dragon Knight a couple times, not as many. I've was still been pretty impressed though when we have been seeing the Dragon Knight. It still felt like a decently solid hero.
Yeah, I mean the big nerfs were what to the Aghanims mostly. I think they reduced the magic resist that you get by half. That was the biggest change for mine. Slight reduction on the stun duration by 0.25 across all levels, and I guess the health regen by one
Yep.
at each level as well, which is
E
also a little
Gaming's
unfortunate.
turn
But
to pick.
I mean, other than that, it's like not massively
RNG's
hindered.
turn to pick.
Going with an Omni Knight instead. Okay.
RNG's turn to pick.
Instant Rubik answer with
Good
their
spells to steal. Felix has been playing some decent Rubik as well. I think he's played it once so far during the I League, and I wonder what they're going to look to again combo together this Omni Knight with. Is it going to be a strength hero, but the Sven's gone?
10
Is it going to be a
seconds
life stealer
remaining.
where you? Well, honestly, if you have an Omni Knight to buff you up, you might
5
actually like
seconds
not just
remaining.
trade the lane. You might still have an advantageous lane setup. And we saw people have been watching ESL as well. Whitemon on his Omni Knight showed how potent the hero can be. Just basically like getting the Heavenly Grace off while a target was lifted in the air, just to be able to break up a stun combination.
yeah, like you said, there has been some incredible abilities to steal here for Rubik. Like any stun, any nuke, you love to see that, especially with how it works with Arcane Supremacy. So a great game for a hero that I think will
Vici
continue to
Gaming's
rise in
turn to pick.
popularity. And we have not seen we've seen one, but we've not
One,
seen
maybe
a
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is cool from RNG, hero that has a lot of percent damage, so it can help deal with the DK and doesn't really rely on burst, so it doesn't mind having too
10
long
seconds
of a drawn
remaining.
out fight.
And they are lacking burst right now on
5
Vici. One of the
seconds
big
remaining.
weaknesses that feel like I'm constantly highlighting with this
RNG's
Omni Knight
turn
is
to
that you're
ban.
basically resigning yourself to not doing damage on one of your heroes. He does a very minimal amount with the use of that purification, of course, wanting to save it for your high priority targets as opposed to
Vici
using it for the
Gaming's
damage
turn to
potential.
ban.
Dragon Knight, it's sustained damage, but it's not burst. Lion, you got some burst there, and Razor, again, it's sustained damage, but you're kind of playing into how RNG want to fight, right? You want these longer team fights on RNG, and well, Vici, they're happy with it too, but I feel like
10
RNG are going to get
seconds
the better
remaining.
end of it, especially once Lena starts to build up a few of those fiery soul stems.
5 seconds
Now, how do you
remaining.
feel like these lanes are going to fare at the moment here for Vici?
RNG's
Do you,
turn to ban.
because I don't think the
Gaming's
Razor
turn
wants to
to
match up
ban.
versus the Death Prophet mid, so more than likely going to be the Tide Hunter against the Razor matchup. So it then
You
comes
don't think
down.
it could be a red panda Tide, could you?
Um, I I may
10 seconds
on this
remaining.
patch maybe not as much just because Gush I think is
5 seconds
not as strong
remaining.
at the earlier levels, especially level
Hmm.
1. Um, well, yeah, they are looking for.
RNG's turn
What are they
to
looking for
pick.
right now?
Position 1.
So what do you think the 5-4 are? I guess DP can be flexed.
DP or Tide are the pos 5s, but it feels like Tide
Vici
Hunter's more of a
Gaming's
red panda
turn to
hero.
pick.
It's quite the Morphling game. They do have multiple instant stuns, but against the Omni Knight's great. Against the Razor, you can just trade even in static link if you morph into the Razor, so that's not bad at all. They have a little bit of
10
burst.
seconds
Let's see
remaining.
now, because Vici, this is tricky on what they want to go for here.
5 seconds remaining.
DK mid, Razor off lane, and what's going to be able to respond into the DP? I still feel like you need burst, but they're kind of lacking on a bunch of different heroes here. Morphling isn't amazing this game. Sorry, not Morphling. Monkey King is banned, and it's not amazing this game. Can you get kited around a lot? Gyrocopter, you don't want to pick into a
Templar
Morphling.
assassins
TA,
your
okay.
hero.
I mean, it's burst,
Mm,
but it's against a DP, and then, okay, Red Panda's the DP. All right. It's the only thing that was a little different than we might be expecting.
so it's different to when we spoke about that Razor being played, or was it Ursa? Sorry, Ursa. In that regard, where you wanted a win condition, and those kind of similar heroes to the Razor. Like this is not one that's going to be your late game security. That's what the Templar Assassin will be. So for Vici giving that over to Ori, which looks like a pretty good TA game. The matchup mid, it's solid. I have seen it sometimes go Lena favored early on just with the Fury Soul, but Ori should have a very good time there. My only issue is that it's a lot of physical damage, and it does get to a stage where Morphling's going to have a bunch of armor. So unless you can burst him down through like a Lion Stun followed up by TA, then maybe the burst is there, but it's going to be very hit or miss.
Yeah. It's kind of rough to see how this one's going to go, honestly. Like, the DP is going to be sitting on the front lines with a good movement speed, just using the Spirit Siphon, you would assume, to try and zone out the DK as much as possible. I think this top lane from Vici, the Omni Knight paired together with the Razor, is going to get really active, especially once level 3 is online. Hell, even just level 2 on the Omni Knight and level 3 on the Razor to be able to try and chase down this Tide Hunter, because you get that Heavenly Grace onto the right target, you're not worried about getting lifted. Like, look at the lift duration at level 1. It's only 0.8 seconds, so you basically need to be instantly looking to relocate someone, otherwise, you know, they're just snap right back still on you. That static link not interrupted at all.
Well, how are we feeling about this game one? Is there a team we want to put our chips in between RNG and Vici, and what's kind of shining out from either team?
A bit of a flyby fan, but I'm also a bit of a fan of Vici when they're playing on this dire side and they're able to get a bunch of stacks off for a hero that loves to take it, like the TA. So it's a bit one way or the other. Does my hate of the Omni Knight outweigh that?
30 seconds.
RNG, they're going to get off the D ward at least with this. I like this Observer ward, actually. You're going to be able to scout out a lot of the placements. It's one of the downsides of not placing it when you're down on this low ground to the right side of the D ward.
So you feel like your hate of the Omni Knight might be a bit too much, or?
I'll go RNG.
RNG? All right, what's you gotta give us the crowd some
like, I feel like it's the DP. Of course, you are able to burst through her. She's a pos 5, you know, so she's not going to have quite as much farm. But then you've also got the Tide Hunter. You've also got the Morphling that are going to be sitting on the front lines, and I just don't feel like your chain damage potential is enough on Vici Gaming. You know, the TA, sure, can get a lot done, but the Razor, it feels like it's going to be useful on one target. The Omni Knight, even with his Guardian Angel, not going to be incredibly effective against a Lena and a Morphling. Yeah, again, and they're just going to look to get really aggressive on this top side, though. That's going to be a big part of what decides this in my eyes. You know, if Vici Gaming are able to get a number of kills on this top side early on, even just 2 onto the lane and even just 1 on its own against Flyby, I think they're setting themselves up to still have a pretty good lane. But yeah, you can see Flyby, he just doesn't want any part of this lane at all. He wants to get away from this Razor and Omni Knight as quickly as possible. Nice little pull there done by DY, though, to make sure that the creep camp doesn't get pulled all the way through to between the tier 1 and 2 towers.
I'm intrigued to see how Old 11 is going to lane as well. I mean, you already put the emphasis on that Tide. Probably not going to have a good time versus the Razor matchup, and I feel like maybe the Death Prophet position 5 can out-harass the Dragon Knight, which you don't see too often, but of course with the nerf to the Dragon's Blood, just a little bit of sustain. The big issue though is the percent damage from the Spirit Siphon, which, you know, Red Panda maybe once he hits level 3, and then 2 points in Spirit Siphon, this might be enough to kind of just zone out old 11, and then this is where I'm going to look to see what PYW across on the map. You know, if he heads up top to enable kills from Poyoyo, because an Omni Knight's not really going to enable your kills, it's just going to really enable how aggressive you can be to zone out flyby. So maybe with that rotation from PYW, they could get a kill.
Hell, even just the rotations that he's making here onto the Lion, right, with Red Panda, it's a long cooldown on the Spirit Cypher, you know, until you've got 2 points into it. The fact that you've only got 1 charge, you can still be quite vulnerable if you get gone on in lane, but with how pushed out it is, he's not really in danger of that happening. Although, the thing that I'm a little worried about is that they went the Crypt Swarm at level 1, and yet I believe they've missed 3 range creeps now, all of them being denied up by Vici Gaming, so nicely done by PYW.
And meanwhile, it looks like D-Stones is denying an immense amount of creeps mid too. He's got 6 at the moment. Ori now with 2 points refraction should be able to help mitigate, which was some early damage issues, which we usually don't say as a Templar Assassin. But I guess Lina did for some reason get that +2 base damage increase through the last patch, which still doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, and we're seeing that this matchup is not the worst for Lina, honestly. Like, you see at the moment, if you get the level advantage and keep the Fury Soul up, then you can do a lot of quick instances to get rid of the refraction.
Sure, but I feel like that's going to be good in the laning stage, but I feel like it's a lot more on the DP's positioning once it gets to, you know, these early-ish fights. And you've always got the danger of, again, it's a 5 DP. She doesn't have the farm. She can get burst through by this TA if she's out of place. Has PYW made up any stacks yet? Not quite. I'm sure he might look to make a bit of a rotation through around that 4-minute mark so that he can protect the bottom water rune as well. Might be a bit late though, unless he goes now.
Do we have both bottles at the moment? Yeah, or he's got his. Eastern's already got his as well. So it looks like we'll see a rotation come through from DY. And that'll be enough to secure top. No one else is looking to get active to try and help out the position 2s. At least Ori's got the top one if he wants to get that. Make sure you don't lose your courier. A little bit of gold, I guess.
You got it delivered at least. Not the worst. This early on, the courier respawn time still kind of low. Gonna hurt him potentially for not having those boots of speed as quickly as he might have liked. But yeah, really good mid lane going here for D-Stones. Tidehunter, he's not being pressured enough, in my opinion. DY is spending a lot of time away just trying to make sure that the mid lane is going as well as possible. But as a result, Flyby, he's, you know, exceeding the Razor by far by about 400, despite that good little neutral camp play that they went for early on.
This is a lane that's heavily reliant on creep equilibrium. Like you see at the moment with how Vici Gaming have... Ooh, Morphling actually end up falling there. Okay, PYW. The chain control with the help of Old 11 was enough to pick up first blood, and unfortunately for God King, he's going to give that one away.
Yeah, they got the Hex from the trees, and when you've got this lineup, you can't be caught full agi, because Earth Spike into Dragon Tail, that's all you need to take him down.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Already we're getting a little bit of help in the mid lane here from both team supports. Okay, God King's even going to sacrifice his game to try and help out D-Stones. She's going to TP in and be like, don't worry, brother, I'm position 1, but that's okay. I'll refill the bottle for you. I trust you to get me over this early game.
He's got the boots, so he can get to that bottom side quickly enough. Not often you actually see the boots super early on a Morphling. Oftentimes he wants to be able to just stand in the lane, and, well, they're going to go for a bit of a dive here, just a little short on the Crypt Swarm there. Nearly picking up the kill, quite surprisingly.
Yeah, really nice body blocks from God King. At least that does put a lot of damage into Old 11. What do you know, though? There's an SL from PYW who's also doing more of the team stuff, is creating the stacks now from the Templar Assassin. All eyes on how RNG are able to combat this, and if there's going to be some early rotations from the supports to drop some sentries down and put their own vision in the areas. Red Panda gonna take a lot of damage here. God King was show up for the little brawl in the lane, who's going to win out in the trade, and looks like PYW will find the kill, even the courier to boot.
Well, that's actually really significant, being able to take out that courier. A big part of why this DP5 was viable for the longest time around the time of the Singapore Major, as well as, you know, the reasoning behind why RNG are picking it is that you just exceed everyone else in terms of movement speed. You know, when you pick up that exorcism, you've got the bonus movement speed percentage based, so you're gonna be able to use it to kite around these team fights relatively well.
Dude.
So the fact that you're going down, losing your boots early on, hinders that a fair amount. Top side, they're going into Poyoyo a little bit.
Pops that ulti, and with DY behind him, now can enable the turnaround potential. I tell you what, I'm worried that Tide has more net worth than Razor. Like, this should not be a thing at all. It doesn't matter what it is. This matchup is heavily Razor favored, and again, it comes down to the fact that RNG, like the creep equilibrium for every time I've looked over has been over the halfway mark, and that's Razor wants the full length of the lane to just continuously soak him dry, and well, this early itemization from Flyby as well, FaZe Windlace just putting immense amount of priority on his positioning so he can kind of escape that early Razor aggression.
And again, like, I feel like they've been getting some alright links on from Poyoyo here, but it's with, again, the Omni Knight. You don't do damage in the laning phase, and all a Tide Hunter needs to do is run away, and then you don't care too much about the Heavenly Grace. Look at the Falcon Blade, at least, though, onto Poyoyo. So that's a nice little early game skirmishing item. But now you've got the level 6 available on the Tide Hunter. Hasn't skilled up the Ravage just yet. Obviously wanting to keep the point handy, in case of a rainy day.
Would you like to see, like, Radiant use his first Ravage just to head to the Ancients? Because I feel like I don't see another way they might be able to contest that unless, like, because I mean, landing an LSA from afar doesn't seem as easier as leading into a Ravage. So I actually would like to see them hold this for any way they can contest. Because I mean, there's I believe a quad, unless that's a triple. I mean, it's always hard to tell. But anyway, there's fat stacks at the triangle right now.
I don't think they have the. Oh my god, dying again on the bottom side, God King. Moving up to the name, that's for sure. But I don't know, like, even if they were to make the rotation, how do you take the stacks? You don't have the potential to do it just yet. D-Stones, yeah, you're a leaner, you can take the individual farm somewhat quickly, but
Dire's middle
it's
tower
going to be quite
is
quick
under
enough.
attack.
Bottom feeder.
Money to burn.
Looks like TA took the hard. They're going to try and kill Hold 11 again, but and PYW is so aware of this. So you know, we haven't seen as much aggression through the mid lane. It's been a lot of the side lanes where the action has been. So that's where the free farm from both D-Zones and Ori is going to play in. How do you feel like this is going to result in some early game clashes here between the laner and TA? Like, is anyone looking to be more active, or does anyone prefer farming more than the other?
I think Lena probably wants to be a bit more active. She's just waiting to pick up those boots of travel, and I think in an ideal world, that's where you want to synergize this Ravage together, although you've got a couple of heroes up on this top side, but yeah, that one point into the telekinesis, pretty much non-effective entirely. Flyby might even just get chased down here, and yeah, that's the downside of pushing forward that deep. It's the one time that the creep equilibrium has actually been back towards Vici Gaming's side, and they take full advantage.
Yeah, and that's where you see, I mean, now he's still all 72 damage instead of the other times it's been a little bit, maybe 30, 40. The Either Storm, they got a lot of duration out of that for the minus armor, and well, that's a big kill to pick up. Now, all of a sudden, Razor 1,000 ahead of the Tide Hunter. So how was I expecting that lane to go is now showing up in regard to the net worth, but for Vici, they've got 4 kills early on, 1,000 net worth lead, and even Ori's going to look to get active as well, but he's going to bump heads into Flyby, who wants to try and bring down the tanky dragon, and with D-Stones looking to show up there. It's all 4 heroes right now from RNG, looking to try and limit the potential of Old 11 early, and that they will do.
Brings them up to level 6 on Red Panda as well. Take out the stack really quickly. They were really just waiting for that boots of travel to be available on D-Stones, because again, you'd never want to be leaving any kind of lane that the enemy team wants to quickly shove out too quickly. You know, the TA, perfectly capable of pushing in that mid lane, wants to eventually look to build into a Blightstone as well, so that that tower can end up melting pretty fast. And so, yeah, just wanted to make sure that you have the capability to move back to your side of the map. You know, you've obviously got the fiery stacks all built up because of the gank attempt. You've got that boots of travel moving at 470 movement speed, so you can very quickly rejoin the other areas of the map. And then by the time that you get there, if another clash breaks out, you've already got that TP scroll available again.
We'll see how these ultimates come into play. You know, early on, it's nice that at least either team has ways to take these objectives with the older dragon form and then the Xism for Red Panda.
Actually, going for a bit of a smoke here, surprisingly enough, is Vici. Just the Lion and the TA, I suppose, wanting to get that Finger of Death off. If they're able to catch out Flyby, that'd be a really good target.
It just...
Oh, he ends up boink daggering into him.
Oh, poor Flyby. He's got some help coming through shortly. That was just the Death Prophet and no opportunity with PYW zapping him through. First Finger of Death charge from the Lion. And that puts Flyby in the grave once again.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Now, TA on the bot side. Again, not TPing for this rotation, and she's going to be able to secure the first tower in the game, although it's going to be an immediate response coming through from RNG with that siege creep. So both one's pretty happy. Actually, even just TPing up onto the creep wave on this top side, so looking to get real value out of this early bots on D-Stones. I'm liking the way that he's playing this. You've got to take the tempo to Vici Gaming because you know that they're going to farm up on this Lena, on this TA.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
What is... So God King is committing for the Lincolns. Okay, so he's going to have a huge lack in damage at the earlier stage, but putting a lot more emphasis on just securing his game, I suppose, so he doesn't get picked off multiple times from the single target stun.
Yeah, kind of like what I was saying before, right? And the reason why I did go for RNG with my prediction is that you can maybe burst through one of these targets, maybe two, but not three. And in the time that you're able to get to that third, they've probably made a few kills happen of their own on the other side. I mean, the thing is now, you can kind of just ignore the Morphling once you see that this is picked up, right? What is the Lincoln's going to do super early on? And once you've committed to the Perseverance, that's all you can really look to build into super early on. So I think they're just going to let God King have his little fun time on the top side, except maybe when you've got that Finger of Death available on PYW, and look to make plays elsewhere around the map, particularly around the mid lane, I would think. Maybe just waiting for Ori to get that Blink Dagger finished up. Only 300 gold away.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to hit that in the next couple of minutes here to kind of ramp up the aggression from Vici. At the moment, they seem comfortable with what they're getting out of the map, but the question is on how they scale into the late game. Like, it does feel like RNG with their Lena, Morphling are going to do an immense amount of damage as the game goes on. They've got a whole lot of team fight capability as well, and for the side of Vici, the stun lock is there, the survivability from the Omni Knight as well to maybe enable this win condition TA, but can she combat the damage that RNG are going to be able to be dishing out as the game continues on? That's a real big question, I feel like.
Felix just putting his body in the way there. They're trying to get a... I thought he was going for the deny there onto the Observer Ward, but instead trying to kill the Courier was Red Panda. A little bit cheeky there. Thought they might have made it for a bit more of an aggressive play, considering Felix Chauba has, excuse me, the Plasma Field, which of course provides you with the extra vision up onto that high ground. But I think we're looking to make a play around these dual Blink Daggers now coming out for both the DK and the TA. So they're just going to group up behind Ori, look to push into this tower, and hopefully try and catch someone unawares.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Surprising that he didn't just stay in lane, to be honest. It makes this rotation seem a little bit more obvious. Especially when you know that they're not on the bottom side, so you know that you're not going to catch anyone.
Flyby will be the target, but the rotations are coming through, so the Ravage will give him some time to reset his position and label the TPs, but the only issue is that he's still zapped down with ease from PYW, so 2 TPs forced from D-Stones and Felix, and that pickoff might net them, and in fact, it definitely should net them this tier 1 tower, knowing that the big ultimate was wasted.
Dire's top tower is under
Big ultimate
attack.
wasted, and again, God King's not going to do anything for the next little bit of time. They're just leaving him. They're allowing him to sit on this top side of the map. It's like, well, even if it's the Lincolns, we just don't have to be concerned about him in his team fights. It doesn't even help him farm all that much, so they're happy that they've kind of shut off this Morphling's early game. It's just a question of what are they going to be able to get in the meantime.
RNG. They're looking to take the fight, but I don't think they can into PYW's potential. The Lion, what a setup here with a double Earthspark, and now they're able to target down D-Stones, but the movement speed looks to still be an issue for Vici, as they've already used their initial stunned, so they can't lock back the side of RNGs. The reset's coming through, but Ori not going to give them an opportunity. A blinking forward, diving deeper underneath the Tier 2 tower. Old 11 is going to answer the call as well. They'll catch out these certain detections there, and now they can end the fight on Flyby, who's still very, very tanky. See, once he gets his Kraken Shell popping up with the damage mitigation, Old 11 still can suffocate him, and no avenue to find the retreat as a deep dive from Vici still nets them multiple kills.
He was trying to go for the cheeky little Boink Dagger play up onto the high ground there, but of course, taken damage, disables it, and yeah, very, very odd commitment coming through there from Red Panda. I mean, you had someone still on the sidelines, you knew God King wasn't there and wasn't able to join in the team fight, and hell, he's just going like a full, what would you even call this? Safety farmer build into the Boots of Travel second item here. So they're trying to play a little bit of Rakdota right now on RNG to be able to come back into this.
I think you're exactly right. Like, it looks like their read on this is that they cannot take fights, I suppose. With the double Boots of Travel, they just want to shove out the side lanes. The only issue is that Dire are going to have... Well, they've got triple blink now with Lion picking up his own, and it's not easy into the Lincolns, but this is very interesting itemization for God King. But we'll see how it's going to pay off here on the Morphling.
I mean, the thing is, it's like he's gone like a defensive team fight slash counter pick off item, and then a movement slash rat item. So it's very clear what he wants to do, in that he wants to be on the other side, of the map pushing out. But it feels like he wants to be doing that when you don't have information and you don't have like there's the fear of the unknown, right? Like Vici could come and kill you, but at least you've got some save potential and you've got good movement and you can quickly get out. But then when you look at the other heroes' items, you've got a Shadow Blade on the Lina, you've got a Solar Crest being built up on the Tide Hunter. Well, they're at least going to be able to burst down PYW, but like, what are these heroes doing in the meantime? Are they just expected to group up and fight together while you're split pushing with not great efficiency? It just feels like it doesn't fit together all that well.
Yeah, I think it might start to show itself if the game continues to drag on, but I feel like this is definitely Vici Gaming's timing right now, as they have ways to be able to pressure early through these BKBs. That Raze is completed, TA is actually even going for a Deso, but I guess you are enabled to go this greedy-esque build because of the Omni Knight can have your assistance and have your back. So I feel like right now Vici are a lineup that don't need as many items, and because of RNG playing off the back of their pretty hefty cooldowns in the Ravage, in the Exorcism, this is going to force RNG to really only take 5-on-5s, and whenever this is on cooldown, then they will be heavily penalized for this.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The time is now. You know, this is their timing. They've been able to pick up the Desolator, potentially use it to push forward into more objectives. The Elder Dragon form only has about less than a quarter of the duration left, so they're going to feel not quite as confident. Maybe even just looking to build up into that BKB first before the next Dragon form cooldown, and then try and make a team rotation through. It's like RNG might be looking to do one in exchange before then, with the Solar Crest now picked up on Flyby.
Do you feel like the Solar Crest just amplifying Morphling as the game goes on? I guess Lina as well. Both these heroes will like the early item, and maybe a way for them to take Roshan, because I guess Gush still doesn't feel like, with the reduce in it, it's only, every level now was reduced by 1. So I guess it enables them to take that a little bit faster.
And maybe as well, the hell, even just using a Solar Crest onto the Razor, now that he's got BKB, it's not going to be quite as effective, but for that little bit of a movement speed slow, it's quite nice, just to get away. He's already moving at 500 with that Quicksilver Amulet picked up.
Definitely feels like this game could, turn on its head with the next, or at least the first Roche fight, I should say. No one's contested the Immortal Man, but
So he went out of the Boots of Travel into more of the E-Blade. It's better in my eyes, but it still doesn't farm all that well. You know, you've spent 1,500 gold just for somewhat of a safety item. It gives you 5 stats, sure, but I don't know. It just feels like God King's going to be doing not much of anything for the next little bit of time. I mean, just have a look at what it means in terms of his levels. He's 3 levels behind the Razor. He's 4 levels behind the TA, and this is the one that you've kind of been making space for.
So you're worried right now the damage from RNG might not be there through this next team fight that's about to break out?
Yeah, I mean, he's a part of this smoke, but again, like, I feel like they have to pick off this Omni Knight first.
All right, well, eyes on Omni. DY is grouped up with Puyo at the moment. They get the information with the extra drop as well with the instant BKBs, but meanwhile, the backline flyby, he's found on 3, and more importantly, he's been able to bring down the Omni Knight as well. The X factor here for Vici Gaming. Can they continue in the fight, however? A BKB is committed. They're transitioning to the northern side. They want to kill off Red Panda with this X's, and they're able to do so successfully. A 2 for 2, but who's going to be able to continue on full to take the victory is PYW. A blink back in. Ori's got the follow-up as well with the burst, showing up massive here. As they'll clean off these stones as Lena. Now they can target down the tanky Tide Hunter as well. Was the damage? It's not there from God King, so as soon as he wave forth in, he's going to have to run himself back to safety. Or he should have to clean up at the Tide. One last Meld would do the trick, and now God King as well is A-okay, but we see the issue was, even though they killed off the Omni, where was the damage?
Bottom tower is under attack.
They did a decent amount of damage through that Razor, but the DP still only having the 1 level in the Exorcism meant that it wasn't very sustained, and you didn't have a ton of survivability either. Honestly, I don't think they could have got much of a better initiation there. You know, the Tide Hunter able to hit the Ravage in onto 3, none of Omni Knight's spells able to get online before his death, but still, they had enough to be able to burst through, and that's just the advantage of farm and levels that they were able to get because of how well the laning stage, surprisingly in my eyes, went for Vici.
So now we're seeing how these fights are breaking up. Like, it's obvious right now, RNG, their items, they're not enough. Even though the Crystallis was just completed for Lena, and you arguably could not have gotten a better Ravage on Flyby. Like, sure, you can maybe argue a 5-man Ravage, but let's be real, like, him getting those 3 heroes is big enough for them. If they're at that state, they should have won the team fight off that. So it's obvious now that Radiant, they need to stall this game out. Like, you need items, you need to maybe go another 10 minutes. The issue is that Vici, with them taking this next Roshan, will force RNG to take these fights.
They'll force it. This is like Vici's insurance policy right now, in that they could just opt to go down these lanes. You know, they don't have Exorcism, they don't have Ravage, so you could just look to fight into it. It's honestly, even 10 minutes might be too long for RNG. I think if they could stall it out for 2 or 3, get that, well, they've got the level 2 Exorcism available on Red Panda, they've nearly got the Blink Dagger on the Tide Hunter, Red Panda's gonna die.
See how many hits, it'll take 4. Rest of the team gotta get out of dodge, and like, still sticking nearby. Ooh, Felix.
He'll be fine. He's got the Shadow Blade. But yeah, just getting the E-Blade as well on God King. I think that's going to be the key moment for them there. You know, E-Blade able to burst someone down, not necessarily needing to use the Ravage to be able to lock down this Omni Knight. Could be quite significant. Blink Dagger about to come out for Felix as well. So lots of items on the horizon for RNG, but it's going to need to be the perfect team fight for them to make full use out of.
We'll see if they can just keep the lanes in a position where they can delay this. God King going back into the Boots of Travel after the Ethereal Blade is completed. So he's still wanting at least this global presence. I mean, the movement speed's going to be nice as well, at least to just kite maybe the TA, kite the Razor, but we're seeing with Vici Gaming, I mean, the Age is in the hands of Ori's Templar Assassin, who just completed an item. I'm not sure what it is at the moment. BKB. Okay, so this is, yeah, this really feels like it's go time for Dire. With all 3 BKBs, even DK almost having a halberd, so maybe, they should have that by the time Roche is out, so they should have another very big fight to go in their favor.
So we got D-Stones going into a Shiva's Guard. I don't hate it. You know, you're going up against a lot of physical damage right now, and that was the reason that he went down last fight. Yeah, I think the Finger of Death was popped on him as well, but still, level 18 now on your Lena. They're going to feel confident about their vision. Smoke up on a few heroes, but Flyby and God King were not caught inside of it.
I don't know if you can jump alt 11. They do see DY.
Just wrap around. You got the vision advantage. I don't think you can wait for the tankier hero, especially if Old 11's got that Heavenly Grace on him, to just walk up onto the high ground, and they're going to back off.
They're aware. They're so aware. No one's pushing mid, no one's pushing bot. They've got all traps in the bottom jungle. So they are 100% aware of this on Vici, and they're just going to sit behind Ori. play on the western side of this lane, make sure they don't go anywhere in a position around the high ground where Flyby can find that jump.
Otherwise, maybe a little bit too far back. If they were to go for a, a super big wrap around, the Omni Knight would have been food. But PYW really liked his positioning in the trees. There is absolutely no way that you're getting the jump on the line first, and you're still lacking BKBs right now on all of RNG's cores, so it could have been disastrous for them if he was able to get the counter initiate. Can they catch the TA, though? DY's in position.
Okay. Bye-bye, EXO. It was good knowing you. Long cooldown now, 140 seconds down the drain, Vici Gaming. They're laughing right now. No one had to waste anything. Nothing like a BKB, nothing like a big ulti. Let's just reset, push down tier 2 tower mid next. And in fact, they're going to smoke up. They want to pick off before that. As they see Flyby in the lane, they got the ward on the high ground, so there's no escape for this tanky old Tide. You can try and juke, you can try and hide, but Ori will claim the kill.
The Tide tried to hide, did not work. They're pushing out mid lane a little bit, so it's maybe might be a little bit until they can siege onto this high ground. I mean, the creep wave's coming, but TA ain't there just yet.
They caught Morphling. Lincoln's pop doesn't have the attribute shift. Oh, Felix. The stolen Heavenly Grace might just come in clutch there to keep God King alive. He'll try and waveform TP out. Ult 11. Lincoln's popped. No extra stun. Woo! Rubik. Yes, he died, but that's one way to keep your position one alive.
Money changes hands.
Stone's trying to do his best. Get some split push happening on this bot side. You got a pretty healthy creep wave down here. Just going to use that to shove the wave in a little bit further, but you just got to wonder, what are you going to lose in the meantime? A mid tier 2 tower's worth so much more. Now the next Roshan, I know it's going to be quite a while away, but it's ridiculously hard for RNG to contest into it now. Maybe seeing the Razor revealed that he TP'd back might cause them to think that they can make an aggressive play, though.
It really feels like they have to get their key target they want to burst along with Omni. So you either, like, it'd be great if you catch, say, TA and Omni in Ravage, because then you have the opportunity to burst the Templar Assassin, who's still pretty squishy. 1900 health is no joke. You can go through that.
I think it's just about finding the Omni Knight with... Oh, TA's just walking in. Again, refraction charges allows the quick blink away. Aegis expired. They've put out the Tide Hunter. Morphling and Lina need to catch the Omni, so you can just use E-Blade, Adaptive Strike, Laguna Blade combo in onto him and not have to pop all of your ultimates.
Ult 11's getting scouted at the moment. There's the break. They need the stun lock to put him in a bizarre position, and they're not going to find that, so now they're looking to push on 4 for Vici. Even Razor looking to connect to the potential fight that will break out.
Panda being a good support, holding on to 4 salves, so he could look to pop one onto Flyby if he wanted to. Such a value item, the trusty shovel.
Ult 11, jump in.
Super deep dive.
Lincoln's popped. Flyby with the Ravage. No, the Earthspack cancels it. He blinking the Ravage and God King. This time the save's not coming through from Felix. He'll attempt the buyback. Flyby so dry, he'll still fall as well. Ori picking up a triple. What an Earthspark from the Lion. That could have spelled disaster for a big Ravage, but now RNG, they have to try and stall off this push. They might not be able to though. A jump in, DP assassinated, Ori with an ultra, and now these objectives soon to melt as well.
I mean, the execution is just exceeding my expectations coming through from Vici Gaming right here. Mid lane probably didn't go as well for Lina as I might have thought. Yeah, that Razor Omni lane is just really effective. You know, once you pick up that level 6 on the Razor, you're capable of chasing down the Tide Hunter with very little.
Maybe they have a window to bring him down, or he's going to try and disrupt this with instantly jumping the Rubik, which is a dieback, and maybe they don't. Looks like they 100% don't, as D-Stones will fall. God King trying to beat down on Ori, but the instant BKB TPR, they've got a stun to at least cancel Poyoyo, so unfortunate for the Razor. He won't be as triumphant in his TP, but maybe still, nonetheless, with his escape with the BKB pop, he'll sidestep the tentacles flying up out of the earth, and it'll sacrifice PYW.
The positioning from DY again, making sure he gets that Heavenly Grace in onto Poyoyo, who's picked up a regen rune, by the way. I wonder if he might look to loop around, make another play in onto this Tide Hunter.
That trap slow.
They got understanding. TA, the morph is gone.
Are they still chasing DY?
It's just a support, man. Like, I think you need the Lina here if you're going to try and secure this.
Okay, well, they'll bring him down. Ori wasn't looking to sacrifice his life just in case there was a misplay there. They're like, all right, we're happy with giving that away. Did he lose it? Okay, nice passover. He gave the gem to Poyoyo.
Radiant's courier has been killed. Dire's structures
Did he
are
actually?
fortified.
Was that on the courier?
I'm really not sure how. Yeah, but that's quite the play.
'Cause I saw the courier come just as he was about to die. So if so, that's a really heads up play. I'm looking at the replay.
And Ori's looking at the backstab, although D-Stone's gonna run into him. I think he just sidestepped the sentry range. Dire also coming over as well to connect. Really important here for Vici Gaming to control the triangle, considering they have all their wards set up in the area at the moment. They don't want to give this over with the next Roshan up in 40 seconds.
You were right, it was just a handoff of the gem over to Poyoyo. Still, good play though, good presence of mind.
I'm still intrigued if this is ever going to get to a stage where RNG can really show this team fight capability that we're waiting for. Like we've seen it previously with Flyby getting, you know, multi-man ravage, but at the moment it's looking like the damage is still not enough to dish out to kill some of the Vici Gaming heroes.
It nearly feels like you're going to need to have, like, honestly, like a Hex out on the Lina, just so that you can catch out the Omni Knight, because now he's got the Glimmer Cape, right? So even if you get that initial burst in onto him with the Morphling for the surprise E-Blade shotgun combo, you pop that Glimmer Cape and you should be survivable. That is another exorcism used for nothing.
No bueno. Roshan up. And that's the second Rosh as well. So Aegis, Agshard, they don't even give a damn. They know the Exo's on cooldown, and they're just gonna walk in without a care in the world. And I mean, you need literally every ability with how far behind you are in RNG. You can't make mistakes like that if you're gonna hope to come back in this game one.
But if you just sit back and let them take it, then they can just walk up onto your high ground. So you're in this weird catch-22 situation where nothing that you do feels like the right decision. They're eventually going to try and make the play, but yeah, it's just a little bit too late, and well, that would have actually been the right play for them just to go and try and contest into it, because unbeknownst to them, no buybacks on Vici. So if you were able to make a play, were somehow able to get a team fight win around the Roche pit, which is possible. You know, you've got a Tide Hunter with the Ravage. You do have some kind of damage here.
Okay.
They could have transitioned.
Oh, little things.
Swift
Yeah, they kill off the Swift Blink, and Lina just completed AC, I think? I cannot remember now. So AC, God King working on Scardy. Hope Felix not to get killed off. They'll see the Fade Bolt, and unless he TPs instantly, then PYW. Look at the vision with the Shivas. No escape once again from the support. PYW is up to 5 zap charges, and they're even going to see Flyby. But Ori doesn't have a way to answer. It didn't go for that meld hit bash, so a nice quick TP up.
I think that's totally fine though, right? Like, how are you going to kill this TA? You might be able to burst down the Omni Knight, but that's just the support. And you've still got the rest of the lineup to be able to burst through. 2 lives as well on this TA. But when you've got a Desolator and a Dragonlance backpacked, you know you're having a pretty good time.
How are you going to kill off the Dragon Knight as well with Aghanim's BKB? 4,500 health thanks to the Heavenly Grace. This is going to be one miraculous comeback from RNG. Oh, attempt with the break, Flyby. That's a 5-man Ravage, but who can they target afterwards? It looked like a beautiful start, but there's no damage in the tank as Flyby gets soaked down, and they're going to jump the Morphling on the backline as well. The Dragon Tail to lead, followed up by the Earthspike. A beautiful flurry of chain lockdown as the Morphling will offer for a buyback to try and hold this last fight here, but it looks like RNG just outplayed, out-executed, and outclassed as well as Vici looking to put him for once finally in the grave with 4 down. And that should be all she wrote. Vici Gaming, what a incredibly executed game 1.
It's alright though, they killed the DK, the tankiest hero on the team, and it only took them, how many deaths? 7 deaths. 7 deaths for 1 DK.
Cool.
I just didn't like the way that RNG took those fights. You know, there was one really good one where Flyby was able to get it onto the back line somehow, get the triple ravage off, and that was the one that seemed like it was going a little bit in their favor. But ever since then, they did exactly what Vici Gaming wanted. They just walked right on into them. They had the DK placed on the front lines. They had the turnaround potential. Guardian Angel was able to get off. No way to dispel it. So yeah, just playing right into their hands, and Vici Gaming, they take that game number 1.
You know what makes me so happy is seeing a hero that was broken in last patch to go 13, 0, and 8 in the next patch and look like there was no changes at all. That's what makes me so incredibly happy. Like, this hero looks really, really cool.
You sound happy.
I sound really happy. I'm happy for Vici because they played really well. Happy for seeing TA just dominate like that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the lane went pretty well for these stones at the stage. I mean, Flyby arguably got a lot more out of his lane as well, but it just got to the stage. I mean, it was at that stage for a while where Vici, you have this early game accumulation of these items where they could just put their stamp on the game and have an immense amount of map control, where RNG couldn't get firm grasp of this. They couldn't find their foothold, and even though they had some capabilities of their ultimates, they were never used to perfection in a eloquent way where they could bring them back. And unfortunately for RNG, they're not gonna drop down here in our first map. But you know, earlier on in our first upper bracket round 2, we did see it go the distance to game 3. So RNG, if the trend continues, then you know, we might be going to a distance game 3 as well. But the issue is they're gonna have to try and, you know, stall that momentum on Vici and then put themselves back into line here, because that was not a very convincing game. But the beautiful thing is that this is an incredible team who did finish, you know, very well off, especially considering they were top 2 from the group stages. So this is a team that has a lot of potential, but only time will tell to see if they can come back in our second game.